How's everybody doing? This is Hambone here with a LGRN Let's Get Ready Network review, the final episode, the finale of The Mandalorian, and kind of breaking down the season as a whole, just a little bit here. Like I said, I don't like doing these like super long and giving out every little bitty detail, but I do like to give you guys like what I thought overall of the episode. And like I said on this one right here, give you a little bit of overall thoughts of the actual whole episode. And what we're talking about, obviously, The Mandalorian. Now, I've loved The Mandalorian. Season 1, Season 2 has been super good. Season 3, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. I think it's a little bit uneven. But here we go. The finale, The Mandalorian. I thought the 7th episode, the next to last one, was like super good. Had a lot of good action. Really kind of stepped the game up a little bit. It got me excited for the final episode because, to be honest with you, I had some issues with this season, so I wasn't as excited about the finale up until episode 7. Episode 7 rekindled my excitement for the series for this particular season. And besides like a couple of little things, like for one, the Paul Vizsla thing where he could have just stepped on the other side, hit the button just like he did for Bo-Katan, and they both could have possibly escaped. They should have did something to where, say, the bad guy shot the panel so it like closed the door and then he couldn't get on the other side. That would have been, more intelligent, with that kind of stuff to me, anyway. And just little bitty things like that. But overall, episode 7 was awesome. Episode 8 is the one, though, that we are here to talk about. Episode 8 of The Mandalorian, I thought was pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed the episode. There were also a couple of little nitpicks here that I could break down that kind of bothered me a little bit. Like, for one, we had an episode that clearly told us that these Mandalorian jetpacks do not last forever on fuel, but yet we have a guy that shoots all the way out to space, warns his people, comes down on the jet, and then he's able to like get out of the jet using his jetpack, and then also flying around after that to like beat some people's asses. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there to me is like, come on, bro. Like whoever was like writing this season, like really should have called a couple of these like things that could have made it a stronger season, and even like for this particular episode, a stronger episode. Not gonna lie, like at the very beginning, I was a little down on the runtime. When I saw the runtime, I was like, man, they got a lot to do here. I don't want things to feel rushed. And we come in with like, I think it was like a 30-something minute episode. And you just can't do that to me, like when you've done everything and set everything up and wasted some time, I feel, during this episode. You should have been like more just give me an hour of just unadulterated like speed and flash and all this stuff, like action pieces and everything else, but don't make it feel like it's super rushed, right? Like give yourself a little bit of a breather time. Like for instance, in this episode, although it's like balls to the wall from almost the very beginning, they take time to go to this one place, for a second that's like a garden that these people that's been living on the planet, like, that they've been building and everything else up, that looked really cool, right? But like they could have still did stuff like that in a longer episode, but still gave us even a little more. And like I'll get to that part. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to wait until like my final thing here to talk about that. Really nice cold open scene they did. Really like that. The shots in the space, like all the like the TIE interceptors and the bombers and stuff like getting released to go out there and attack the fleet that was up in space was just really super awesome. All of that looked really good. I mean, we're getting movie quality stuff. That's one of the things you can say about The Mandalorian. Love this season or hate this season, like it, kind of you think the season's mid, but you don't hate it, kind of thing. Like it or not with that, when it comes to that, like you got to give it props. There are some really cool, like especially this season, like fighter, TIE fighter, TIE interceptors versus different ships kind of battles. We got the things in this episode where they were going after the fleet, like even a little bit on a bigger scale. All that stuff looked super amazing, top notch. Like they're doing it right when it comes to like CG and stuff, because literally I felt like a lot of these scenes could be in movies. Like it's done just as good. Just a lot of things in here that I do like. The combat scenes in this episode, like when they jump out in their jetpacks and are flying around and doing all this kind of stuff, and just going crazy. They're like flying around, doing their thing, like hitting each other. You got the armor out there hitting people with a hammer and everything else. All that stuff, just like the space stuff, looks really super good. Was done well. I like the action. It sort of made sense in different points and stuff like that. But the thing and everything with Moff Gideon was cool, like the battles with him and our main man, Din Djarin. And then we also have Grogu just out there doing his little thing. I thought that was a little cheesy, but I'm fine with it because you can't do so much with that puppet. You're limited on that. So what was they going to do? But like I did find that a little cheesy, but I'm okay. Like there's a lot of cheesy things in Star Wars, even from the beginning. So like I'm cool with some cheese here and there when it comes to Star Wars. Not a big problem. If you're not a big Star Wars fan, that might throw you out of it or something like that, right? But like if you're a Star Wars fan, you can't hate on that too much at all, period. When it comes to that. But ultimately, I like some of the things that this season did. So like on this last episode, I give it like an 8, maybe even an 8.5. I had a lot of fun. There's a little nitpick gripes here in the episode, but not very many of them, right? So like it doesn't bring the score down too much. But the fun factor, like me choosing to watch this episode again, can be pretty high up there when it comes to Mandalorian. I think the last 2 episodes are really nice to go like just dive into it, and really have some fun with some Star Wars stuff. And I think they did like overall in this season, like build up some lore with the Mandalorians that people know more and more about. We got to spend time on their planet and everything else. But like I said earlier, this season has been super uneven. There's a couple of good episodes. I mean, like episode 3 was really awesome, but like, what was the payoff for that really? Like, wait, we got to see that woman one more time in episode 7 at the very beginning, give Moff Gideon a couple of pieces of information. But we had this really great, like, wrote and even directed and acted episode in episode 3. And then we kind of like, for what? Like, it was good. I enjoyed it. But like, I don't think I'll ever go, even though that episode's one of the best of the season. Maybe not the best, but one of the best. I will never probably go watch that episode again because it really doesn't lead to anything. Like that character doesn't get involved big time. It's just literally a cool episode, but really like it built up to, I felt like something that could be really cool, but they really just didn't like really jump and dive into it like as much as they could have. Like I said, that was leading up to something really cool. Like episode 1, episode 2, I could have did without. Not the greatest episodes in the world, not super bad, but not great. And then episode 3 was like really good. So I was like, oh yeah. Then we went to like episode 4 and they did what they did there. And it was like, okay, like this kind of let me down because I was getting hyped after episode 3. Episode 6 and episode 7 I thought was really good. So about half of this season was good. The other half, I was like, what are you doing? For one, you don't have a lot of time. You're only doing 8 episodes. You're only doing some of those episodes like 30 minutes. So what are we doing? Like, why do we even have to have, for instance, like maybe you say we needed the episode where they catch the bird that tried to eat the kid because you wanted to build up a rapport between Bo-Katan and the rest of these Mandalorians. But you easily could have had that, not a whole episode. You easily could have just had Bo-Katan follow the bird with the ship, take the bird out, and save the kid, right? Like, and that could have been it. She saves the kid, and then they like her because of that, right? Because she saved one of their own kind of deal, something that they wasn't able to stop before. So she comes in, boom, 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 does that. I thought that would have been fine. I like the idea of like, and I love the looks of the episode that was kind of like watching a episode of CSI, Miami or something like that, right? Like, I like that episode when they're chasing down the robot and stuff, but like everything, because they only have so much time, everything was so convenient. Everything was so like laid out. Everything was so like rushed in that episode. Like that would have been cool if we were getting like 12 episodes to throw in the middle and have 2 episodes be about that, right? Or one long episode, like 1 hour to an hour and 15-minute episode of them doing this really cool. It had Blade Runner style looks, which is really good. Like, even though I don't love the Blade Runner movie as a whole, like I love the way it looks. Like it's beautiful, man. Like it's one thing you can never take away from Blade Runner, like especially 2049. Is like it looks amazing. It looks beautiful. This episode kind of reminded me of that with the colors and stuff like that. But like you really like kind of rushed this episode. There was too many conveniences. Like they chased down the robot. Like so they find one of the bad robots because you know the Mando's kicking him because he doesn't like robots, obviously, especially ones he thinks are bad. And then so randomly, one of them, the ones he kicks, ends up being the bad one. So they chase him down. And then whenever they take him out, like they don't even spend 5 seconds and they've already just happenstance that this bad robot, that this droid that's doing some of the bad stuff just also happens to be carrying some kind of thing that tells them exactly where to go next. And then when they get there, it's exactly what to do next. Like there's none of this like kind of throw you off the trail kind of thing, which I think could be really super cool in Star Wars, like that kind of story and that idea, right? I think that'd have been really cool if we could have had a little more time and we could have had that story kind of develop more and stuff like that. Some people complain about the Jack Black, and I can't remember the other lady's name off the top of my head, but cameos, and it's like, nah, man, like I'm fine with that. That stuff doesn't bother me at all. I don't know why it bothers other people. It's like, whatever, man. Jack Black's Jack Black. You know what I'm saying? So I love the guy. So it doesn't, that kind of stuff doesn't really take me out of it as long as they're playing their character and playing their character right. You know, like it would throw me out of it if Jack Black was sitting over there like air guitar and like, you know, doing some stuff like that, like Pick a Destiny kind of bullshit. And then I'd be like, oh crap, this sucks. You know what I'm saying? So, but as a whole, this season to me was disappointing because I liked season 1 and season 2 so much. And I just say that this is disappointing. I had fun watching this season. I didn't regret watching this season, but at least half this season I won't ever go back and watch again. Like, unless somebody points out something really cool that I want to see or something like that, or I want to double check myself on a piece of information or, you know, any of that, I won't ever watch again. So it was like half and half. Half these episodes were good that I'll probably go back and watch again just for fun. And one thing I can say about The Mandalorian is because they do have shorter episodes, you can do that easier. But like I said, I don't want them to do that just to do that. Like I want them to do that when it makes sense. But I fight against people that want to just add time to the episodes because sometimes that makes the episode and even a season worse because you're just doing things to do it. But when you only have 8 episodes and there's a lot of story to tell, like don't rush that stuff just so you can have a 35-minute episode. Like take your time. Episode 7 and episode 3 is probably my 2 favorite episodes of the season, even though I'll never go watch episode 3 again because like I said, I don't think it really built up to anything except for this lady giving a piece of information. You could have basically told that kind of story in like 15 minutes, like total, like to be honest with you, if you're going to just do that with it. But and I get that doctor was kind of cool and he's a good actor. I thought he did a really good job, but it's like you could have showed her like just doing something to that doctor and then had her give the information to Gideon afterwards. And we could have been done with that because it was almost pointless to a certain point. And one of the things I didn't like, and one of the reasons why I feel like I said the season is very uneven. I do think that they probably have a game plan going forward. I think season 4 is going to be these episodic, more like tales where it's going to be Mando and Grogu just happenstance checking in, you know, bumping into things. Maybe they got something on a journey they're doing, but they're just going to be an episode where they go here, they meet this monster, they defeat it, or they meet this bad person and defeat it kind of thing. Because I don't know if Mando season 4 is going to come out before or after we get that movie that's supposed to be coming out by Filoni. So I don't, the timeline of things to come. I know Ahsoka's going to have a lot of Thrawn, and I really think that they missed a shot. Even if they would have went and recorded a scene with the new Thrawn, with the guy they've already picked, he's obviously already done his stuff for Ahsoka. Even if they would have had to like film it, like even halfway through this season, they should have realized, like, look, guys, we're going to have Star Wars Celebration. We're going to go ahead and show everybody what Thrawn looks like, because if you were there at the Celebration, you know what Thrawn looks like because they showed it. They showed his actual face. Now, if you're like me and had to watch it on the YouTubes, you only got to see him from behind when you watched the Ahsoka trailer. But if you were there, and there's ways for you to find out what Thrawn looks like, because obviously the internet is going to get out everywhere. It's going to leak everywhere, and it did. So my thing is like this, is like when it comes to that kind of stuff, Like, why didn't you 3 or 4 like as this is airing? It shouldn't take you no time at all to have a scene where Thrawn's literally like sitting in a chair. So, like, for instance, like there's a lot of us, because episode 7 is called The Spies, we was wondering who the second spy was, because the only spy we truly saw was the lady that gave Moff Gideon the information, the one that messed the doctor up. I really thought it was going to be the armorer. She's got the spikes on her helmet. She made whoever made the armor for Moff Gideon's got spikes on that helmet too. And I'm like, okay, she's also from one of the moons where the Death Watch was at, that was there whenever Darth Maul was there. So maybe she's still leaning towards the Empire because she still kind of follows Maul and his example, you know, and this kind of thing. And I thought that'd been cool. But like, for instance, if you would have went that route, you could have literally at the very end had the armorer walk off by herself, you know, after the celebration and stuff, and get on like some kind of comm or whatever and be like, hey, Thrawn. And Thrawn shows up. And you don't even have to do a straight up like CGI, like, you know, with his makeup and everything. You could have just had him show up in the hologram form and everything else, and her give some information, or just anybody, or maybe that thief that we spent not thief, but the lady that messes up the doctor, like I was talking about earlier in episode 3. You could have had her, for instance, like go and relay the information to Thrawn or something like that, right? And like I said, you could have did it in a simple hologram form just to let you know Thrawn's out there. Thrawn is making the come. We already know he's coming, but if you'd have threw him in there and this would have been the first time that Thrawn's seen, it would have made this season even more important, right? A lot of people would have probably been like, oh shit, Thrawn, oh, I got to go at least watch this episode, or shit, maybe I need to watch this season just to see what the buildup is and what they're doing. So I think they missed a point of opportunity there. And like I said, it's something they could have added even after they've done the whole thing. It's not a big, huge deal. Throw some people some money. Hey, let's take advantage of the situation and do the thing. But beyond that, episode 3, like I said, kind of let me down. The whole season, like I said, this last episode, I give an 8 to an 8.5. This whole season, I give a 6 to a 6.5. And it could get lower after more time passes, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to get higher. I can't give it that high of a score when I think like 4 of the episodes were almost to a certain point sort of pointless and not that great, to be honest with you. Not real written. There were certain points where they were making the Mandalorians look weak and stupid. It's like, what are you doing? These are supposed to be like some of the greatest fighters of the galaxy of known to man, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, how'd you like it? Maybe tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm a piece of shit for thinking that the Mandalorian was kind of uneven this season and not that great. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below and everything else. And until next time, guys, stay sexy. Hey guys, it's Justin, aka Hambone, just here to let you know a couple of things that we have going on with the channel. One, we have a Patreon. If you can and want to support us, you can do that. Little as $1. You can join the Discord. We also have a merch store where you can get some cool shirts, mugs, and stuff with all of our different shows and labels on there. And thank you for all of our supporters that have already been there with us.